Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Mardek, and we are making our way back through the Sandflow Caves here. And, oh man, another one of these locked green doors in particular. It seems like if we could finally find that green switch, we would have access to a bunch of different places here, but at least on this occasion, that is going to continue to be in our way. So we did see that there's that green gate over here as well. And it looks like we may have actually not explored this bottom left area there. So we could check that out now. Though it may just make more sense for us to double back there once we know that we have that green switch flipped. So I think what we're going to find is that we're going to need to go to another area in here. And I think this is going to be more or less the central area in the Sandflow Caves. And then it's going to connect to a bunch of different locations. Hopefully, some of which have those switches that will help us gain access to different areas. Okay, so remember, dandelions are quicker than us now, so need to be on our guard whenever we see that they show up. They are going to attack us before we get the chance to do anything, so be ready to hit those reactions. So, that means that no funny business here. We gotta take this guy out. And is it just me, or are the reactions going a little bit faster? I don't know. Seems like they were sneaking up on me that time. Okay, so I think, remember, we're not using the physical attacks against the antlion. It is still going to be the target, though. Yeah, like, comparatively, that was definitely much slower on the reaction there. I don't know. Anyways. Does have just barely over 200 HP. I would think that Mardek can take it out here, but it is a bit of a risk. Didn't we mess around a little bit with Mardek's offensive reactions and might have made it such that he doesn't have quite as much damage, at least in the short term? So that might be a bit of a risk here. Maybe we still take this opportunity to heal with Mardek, and could use a heal on either Charlotte or Slinik. Otherwise, if we want to hit both, we're going to have to hit everyone, and that's going to mean lowering the total power of the heal, but I think we go that route just to be safe. Doesn't fully heal Slinik, but I think you surely would be able to take this guy out, assuming you hit. Okay, good. That means we can breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief here. And now, with Charlotte, we could take out one of the Lucasers, I think. So if we do this, and we can, then I think that means, barring Charlotte getting absolutely mauled, this might be an opportunity for us to do a little bit more of our reactions, even if it means not necessarily maximizing our damage and minimizing the amount of damage that we take. So Mardek is fine on that front, at least in terms of active skills. I think he's still working on his offensive reaction. He's fairly close there, but I'm going to wait on him, because if he were to attack, then obviously he would take this guy out. Similar story, I think, with Slinik. It's mostly the most difficult one that's going to be null air once, because as we were saying a little bit last time, for the most part, I think that when we need that skill, we're going to need it badly. But when we don't, it's going to be very much an afterthought, so it's going to be hard to work it in. So at times like these, we're going to have to make a bit of a committed effort to make it happen, and that poison is going to kill this Lupazer at the end of the next turn, so that means that that's only going to give us one more chance with Charlotte here to get in a null air. But it brings us at least more than halfway. And then, yep, the poison takes him out. Okay. So it might have been an opportunity to do even more than just that couple rounds of null air once, if we had not gotten the poison on Donovan, or if we had opted to not even attack with Donovan at all. But anyways, let's head up into this area of the Sandflow Caves, and as for where exactly it's going to lead us, we might find that, yeah, it appears as though this is the downward side that would lead us into this area that was previously blocked off by that green door, so we were approaching it from the left angle before, from the west. Now we're through here, and, well, even more green walls, though, so can we go up to the top? Is there anything we can do there? Also, I'm trying to be somewhat mindful of hidden paths here, because it seems like there might be a few. Okay, so a new area, or at least a new angle to a new area. Yeah, so we've been down here. This is where we were at the very beginning of this episode, at least. So again, we found a way around the green wall, even if we haven't necessarily knocked it down. And there is Dark Essence here, which I don't believe we've gotten any of yet. So it is a crafting item. And as for whether we can put it to use, I think there's one or two things at the blacksmith that we can use it for. And here, okay, no Antlions. However, 3 Happy Johnnies is a bit of a scary sight as well. Don't let their smiles fool you. We saw previously just how strong these guys can be. So that does the... Okay, we really hope they use physical attacks and not something like that. Okay, that is weaker at least than the 1,000 Needles. It did inflict poison on both Mardek and Slinik, but I think we'll take that compared to the basically one-shot kills that their other skill would have done. So, with that in mind, remember that they have 70% evasion. So physical attacks are almost guaranteed to miss. So it's probably best to play it safe here. Go for the flames. Try to take him out, and it's not quite enough. Charla, I would think, with a lightning bolt on all of them, could do the trick. So maybe we take this opportunity with Mardek to heal. And after this battle, maybe we'll remove taint to get rid of the poisons. Slinik, you could get rid of one for sure with your Fire Breath. However, maybe this is an opportunity to sneak in an offensive reaction and at least try to hit. Because we know that worst comes to worst, if you miss and don't take one out, then Charlotte should still be able to remove all of them on her turn. Yeah, so you do miss, but it does still mean you get an offensive reaction in. And then Lightning Bolt should wrap things up here. Good, good. And you see just how much experience they give. We saw earlier it's about 1,000 apiece, but with a battle with 3 of them in it, it's not insignificant. Right, so that is Bright Eyes as well on Slinik, which is the blindness immunity, which is a little fitting after he just missed in that battle, not because he was blind, but just because those guys are so hard to hit overall. So that does mean that we could potentially swap out that accessory for something else. I'm thinking that Slinik probably does not have many abilities that allow him to be immune to various status effects, so blindness we thought was high priority, given how he's going to be physically attacking a lot. Could do something like Insomnia. That might not be a bad idea. Give him some light resistance as well. Not sure that's going to be terribly relevant at the moment. Is this the same thing here? Oh, that's Bright Eyes again. Okay, zombification. Not sure that's going to be happening anytime soon, so that's probably not as high of a priority. And anything else we might want to consider? We have things like plus 10% HP, which is not bad by any stretch. Actually, how close is Slinik to finishing Drain HP? It's about halfway there. That should be pretty quick. So then we might want to put something like the Body Crystal on after that, because he does have a lot of HP, so plus 10% is a pretty decent amount. So, or is the Moonstone even better? No, not quite as good. Okay. Yeah, so I think in that case, let's go for the Insomnia on the Moonstone Ring. Seems like it is the best defensively, in addition to, of course, giving him access to the Insomnia skill. Oh, we were working on Antibody previously. However, I think we've put the item that allows us to have access to Antibody on someone else for the time being. Let's do Insomnia for now. And actually, he does have room for 2 more RP, so theoretically, we could also put on something like the +1 agility or +1 strength that we see on things like the fire opals and whatnot. But given how, at least at the moment, he's preoccupied with other accessories, we'll have to wait on that one. Okay. Good to know, no less. And on our map, we see that we can either go up or we can go down. Let's try going up first. It seems like this might be... Oh, and hold on. We can remove the poisons as well. We should do that ASAP. Is it worth putting a heal on Mardek? It might be. Yeah, okay. There's another chest here. Gauntlet. Okay, we saw these many times before, in Chapter 2 mostly. It's a not so valuable item. Well, actually, it cost a fair bit at the shop, but that was a while ago. 1 defense, minus 10% physical defensive reaction, so it does help in that that can sometimes be a difficult thing to get on people who are not able to wear chest plates. So like Charla and Donovan might be a little bit more difficult for them to get that. However, we see that Donovan has. Oh, it's actually on their helmet. So in that case, yeah, that's not super helpful for us to pick that up, but oh, hold on. This looks like a secret passageway. I saw that. Yup. You can notice based on how... Oh, hold on. This is an unavoidable fight. Hold that thought. More Lions. Prepare for this. Fortunately, it seems like Mardek does have the strongest defensive reactions, I think, and that's why that did not deal too much damage to him. Also, 11 defense helps as well, because the Antlion isn't enraged right now, but Still, that was considerably less damage than it's dealt in the past. So let's use the Lightning Bolt. Same idea as what we did last time. We just hope that these guys don't absolutely annihilate someone and complicate matters. Ant-Lion first and foremost. And last time we were wondering, is it worth attacking with Mardek when it had about 200-ish HP? It has more this time. So I think all the more reason for us to go for a heal again with Mardek rather than opting for an offensive skill. Or an attack of any variety, really. Okay. Even for Slinik, it's going to be a little bit questionable. I think we do still try to fit it in here, because if not, then the Ant-Lion is going to get another turn. And we hope, that doesn't happen. It does mean that it can hit Charla for a lot of damage here. Charla should be able to take it out. I think we need to deliberately target, though. If we were to target everyone, I'm pretty sure that it would not be enough damage. So let's do this. It is enough to take it out. It does mean the Lupusers will get the chance to attack here. We hope they don't target Charla, especially not with a Flame Breath. Okay, good. Otherwise, that might have been enough to take her out. And now, suddenly, we find ourselves in the similar case that we were in previously, where we can take an opportunity to work on some of those skills. Donovan's got to be pretty darn close to his offensive reaction, it seems, because he's been doing his attacks, I think, more often than even Slinik and Mardek here. So there is a chance for Mardek to still get that in. I think he's a little bit behind Slinik in terms of his reactions. And Slinik, you might have drawn the short straw here, because if you were to attack, then that would mean Charla doesn't get to go on her turn, and that is the primary reason for us doing this, is to sneak in another Null Air once or two. As long as they don't attack Charla, because if they do, then that pretty much ends this little side mission immediately. We could opt to heal Charla here, however. That probably makes some sense. Mardek, however, is starting to run low on MP. He doesn't have a lot to begin with. Slinik, probably gonna have to pass as well. Charla, getting close. Getting close. After this, it'll just be a couple more, and then you will be done. But if the Lupuzer continues to attack Mardek, then that is basically no big deal here. Donovan, I think you do now need to pass as well, otherwise we're going to end this fight. No need to heal on Mardek. And then Charla. Sneak in another one of these. And we'll almost be done with it. They do take this opportunity to attack Charla. However, if we just do one more, then we will not have to concern ourselves about sneaking in that Null Air, and then we can worry more about just taking out our enemies as efficiently as we can. Which means, Donovan, you can start attacking again, and let's double check how far along people are with their offensive reactions, because there's a chance that Donovan has finished and I just didn't realize. Except, there it is! Thank you, game! Alright, so, Poison is now done on Donovan, which theoretically means we could swap over, put that spear on Charla instead, and Null Air once might have also been coming from... Is it Charla's spear? It was. It was. So actually, we could swap these around. Like so. And so it does mean that Donovan's going to, at least temporarily, have lower offense, at least with his physical attacks, because this is a lower damage weapon. But it does allow Charlotte to learn that poison reaction as well. So long term, that'd be nice. Oh, she didn't have plus 10% damage on? I mean, very rarely was she attacking with her normal attacks rather than her spells, so it wasn't necessarily all that relevant, but we could put it on, because we can. Okay. Great. And so what I was going to say was that if you look here at the wall, you see that most of the time it has this lighter brown border, whereas I saw that this one does not, and that means that that is going to be a secret area there. That's how I went in there without checking the map. So, if we look here, we find that it's going to sneak around a little bit, but not totally clear as to where it's going to lead us just yet. But we'll see. Again, I'm mostly just going based on where I notice that we're running into walls when we're going through that secret area there, because at that point there's no visual cue. Okay, so, more of the opals. These guys shouldn't be too tough. I think we found that if we use a spell on you with Charla, because you guys, healed to air, so that's not going to work there. Donovan can take you guys out, though. You guys should be comparatively far easier than many of the other enemies that we fought. in this area. I think we saw these guys back in the Sun Temple, so I suppose in some ways that should be an indication that they aren't as bad. Right, this is going way down here, and we actually find that this is, I believe, going to lead us through to what I believe will amount to the mini-boss of this area. What? Maybe, possibly. Let's just take a moment here to perhaps heal up a little bit, if necessary, and or get some MP back on people. Because if I remember correctly, that might be somewhat relevant in the not-so-distant future. So, I'm thinking of, like, if we have some mana berries, ideally not something that restores a ton of MP, because I'm not sure that's totally necessary right now. I'm just looking at people like Mardek, who could use 50 or so. We have mana berries at this point in time, though. I may be just looking right over them. It does seem like Mardek has the most stuff, though. So if someone does have it, it's probably Mardek, but I'm not seeing it. So I think in that case, we might need to over-MP restore a little bit here and use an Ether. Potentially on Mardek and maybe even Charlotte here. Slinik's looking fine. Donovan, debatable as to whether or not he'll need it. Let's do this, though. Not the most cost-efficient, because we are, like I said, over-NPing in this case, but now we make it through here into what looks like, oh, probably shouldn't have skipped that fight, but a little cave within the Sandflow Caves. Reptoid Spearhead, an ancient artifact. It's primitive and made of flint, dating back to when the Reptoids were still barbaric savages, living like hunter-gatherers. The collector would pay a high price for it. Okay. So that's actually a very good pickup here, and I think we'll find when we circle around in this area, again, I'm sealing all the, or canceling all the fights. If we look, we find that, again, this is a hidden chest right here, and brace yourself. Because it's a fight, and it's a mini-boss fight, and it's a somewhat difficult mini-boss fight, if I remember correctly at that. It is the Sand Marauder. It is relatively high attack, some defense, lots of magic defense, and 50% evasion, so somewhat like the Happy Johnnies, in that although it is technically easiest to hit it with magic attacks, it's going to deal far less damage than we would with physical attacks. It is very resistant to earth, very weak to air, a little bit weak to fire. So, let's see what we can do here. This guy could prove quite challenging. Also has haste at the moment, which means it's going to go relatively frequently. So it will go immediately after Charlotte here. And I wonder, is it worth doing any sort of setup skills like agility boost or null air? I'm not sure if this guy's going to use any air abilities on us per se. Let's just go with offense to start off here and see. Oh goodness, only 74 damage is not good. And that's a fairly strong attack as well against Donovan here. So that doesn't look good either. So I think we're going to be needing to heal a lot against this guy. And unless we can get in some physical attacks, the magic attacks are going to take a long time to take this guy out. However, you know what? You know what I'm realizing? So he's weak to air. What I'm wondering is, do we have any of the offensive air potions? I know we have lots of really cold water, which is water elemental, of course. Fire is still a slight weakness for this guy, but I feel like if we could get someone who has the air version of this, and it might only be Mardek, I'm not even sure if he has it, that might be the best way for us to deal damage. But that's not an option here for Donovan. So do we take the safe route and take a little bit of damage with the flame, or do we try to go big or go home and use a physical attack here? Let's try the flame. Only 32 damage there, because remember that air is more effective than fire, so yikes. Okay, do you have that potion that we were talking about earlier, Mardek? I don't think I'm seeing it. So that's also quite concerning. I think this guy is going to be very challenging in that case, and I think ultimately we're going to have no choice but to start landing some physical attacks here, but based on how strong that attack was, I think putting up some shields might not be a bad idea either. And Donovan did basically lose half of his HP in one hit there, so he's not looking good. We also kind of need to heal. Oh, well, I missed that reaction, which doesn't help, but that shield basically saved his life right there. So, Slinik, you cannot heal unless we were to use an item here, which might not be a bad idea. It would get roughly half of Donovan's HP back. Trying to compare that to Charla's healing, and Charla would, I think, heal slightly more than that. However, Charla has air attacks. I think it is still best for us to go attack with Slinic. We hope we hit, obviously, and then use Charla to heal. I think that's the plan. Okay, there we go. That is big, getting that much damage in with Slinic. So there you see, it is a significant difference, the amount of damage we deal with spells versus attacks. It's just that it's going to be a 50-50 chance as to whether or not we manage to hit with those attacks. So, now we use Healing Wind. And is it only Donovan who needs it? For the most part. Okay, that does get him back up to full, so that's big. And fortunately, oh man, Sand Marauder opts to attack Donovan. Great, he's the only one with a shield, and also use an Earth attack, and Donovan is the one who is currently wearing the Geo Jacket, so he has 170 Earth resistance, so actually didn't even need to heal, didn't even need to have that barrier up, at least not that time, because that would have brought him back up to probably full HP. So, now we are back to Donovan. Do we try to use a physical attack here? I think we do. He does miss. But that is the risk we take here. And I think with Mardek, we continue to use the physical shields. So, in this case, let's go for Charla next, because I think she's the most vulnerable with the least HP. But he keeps on trying to attack Donovan. I mean, if you want to continue to attack the people with shields, that is fine, I suppose. Slinic, can you go 2 for 2 here? You can. Okay, so that's huge. I mean, look at just how much damage that was between those 2 hits with Slinic compared to how much damage we were dealing with those spells. And at that point, that might mean that we just go all-out offense from here on out. Maybe we no longer really need that other stuff. Yeah, just over 100 damage. That would suggest that the Flame, it deals less than air does, but it will get us very close. And then Mardek, you might be able to finish it here. The Sand Marauder does go after you, so I think we take that risk here. Or even, hold on. I'm not sure if it even matters which type of offensive potion we use here. As long as we hit him with anything at this rate, it might be enough. It is. All right, and there you have it. You can see how, if things go awry there, things could go very awry. However, if you get kind of lucky there and manage to land some big hits with someone like Slinic or Mardek, then you can expedite that fight quite a bit, make it a lot easier. You get a Gizmo Meter and a Ruby. Okay, so let's check that out. The Gizmo Meter is a quest item, and then the Ruby is a gemstone. Rubies are extremely valuable red gemstones, a variety of mineral corundum. They're mystically associated with strength, passion, power, fire. They give +2 strength, so we saw +1 strength from the fire opal. +2 is a little bit harder to find. And also just a passive +3 strength, so tons and tons of strength for anyone who is willing and able to equip that. Donovan is almost done with +1 agility. Not so much with the magic fire reaction yet. But that could be an option for people going forward, at least. Might also be a crafting component for some things. Not sure about that one, but that is the big fight in this area. Or at least one of the big fights in this area that we were trying to make sure that we were able to survive. So in comparison, these blood lizards, they're gonna be a cakewalk, right? So, maybe we hit them all here. They aren't weak to air. I don't remember if Charla was able to take them out in one hit if we were to target just one at a time. It may not be the case. Donovan's not looking great here. So, Donovan... Oh, and this is another instance of actually what we technically should do is remove Soul Strike on Donovan, because that is just making it so that we're getting that fire elemental on his attacks, which is, for the most part, not being helpful for us. Certainly not against these guys, because now we're going to be in this situation where the best thing to do is attack and miss the reaction so that it goes non-elemental rather than fire. Now that we've mastered the plus poison reaction, then that's not as huge of a loss, because we're done with that. But ideally, we would still get rid of the Soul Strike. That way it would stay non-elemental, the attack, even when we hit the reaction, so that way we could still get whatever damage boost. I think we have plus 10% damage on one reaction, and also the 20% chance of poison. We can still get those things, still keep it physical. That's the best way to do it. So, for Mardek, I think we heal, because Charlotte and Donovan are not looking great. Doesn't heal him that much, though. Which is a little bit disappointing here. Here's an opportunity, though, for Slinik to take one out. Oh, I missed the reaction. Darn. Slinik does need those. Still enough to take out that guy, though. So, Charla, you could probably get rid of this Blood Lizard, I would assume. Certainly, if you were to attack only him. Looks like you would not have quite had enough damage, though, to take out the one with more HP. Donovan, again, not looking great here. I'm going to deliberately miss the reaction, and it brings this guy low. Mardek, you could probably finish that guy off. Let's heal Donovan instead, and allow Slinik to get in. A reaction here, and a crit at that. Lots of damage. Okay, cool. So yeah, that was one of the main things that we were trying to do, was pick up that gizmo meter. However, we still have many things that are blocked by these green doors here. Actually, I'm pretty sure that might be the green switch right there. It is. Oh, okay. Let's make sure we get that then. Because we know how many doors that will open for us. Even if we're on the other side of the green wall this time around. And more of these fire phages. They start off with those physical shields, remember? And also just have loads of magical defense. So, does mean that physical attacks are still better, but even those physical attacks are not super effective. So, Charla will need to get in some physical attacks because she is currently using the Poison Spear, and so she does need to get those physical reactions in, much like Donovan was previously. It would help if you hit those. You do still get the reaction, or you do still get it partially mastered. Just, obviously, you know, you're not dealing any damage. So you're not contributing toward the team in the short term, at least. Okay, so Donovan, we do want you to use a physical attack here, and similarly, this is going to be another instance where we're not going to want to hit the reaction because 200% resistance to fire, you would just be healing these guys. They're at full HP, so it would mean you're just doing precisely nothing. And then Mardek, you are going to be our primary source of offense along with Slinik here. So I think we try attacking one of these guys that's undamaged at the moment. Slinik, take out the one with more HP. And that's enough to level him up, no less. Charla, can you finish this guy off here? You're going to have to hit. The poison actually should do it. So there you have it. Significant. Reaction pays off. And there's the drain HP reaction from Slinik, and there actually might have been another one as well on Mardek that I was not paying close enough attention to notice. Was it locomotion? It was. Okay, so that means that Mardek no longer needs this, and we were talking about maybe getting the Amethyst on, work on clarity, so that could be a good fit for him. And then Slinik, you no longer need drain HP from this, and that is a very useful skill to have. And I wonder who might be the best person to put it on next. And Donovan is close to mastering +1 agility, but he's not there yet. I wonder if maybe it's best to wait for him to finish that, and then we'll put it on Donovan, because he is the next most physical-oriented attacker. At least long-term will be Charlotte for the time being, as we're working on the plus poison reaction. That will also be the case, at least for the next 10 attacks, or 8 attacks. So, then that means that Slinik is looking for something else to fit in here. And we were looking at trying to find other status immunity skills and what might be the best fit in that regard. And putting on some extra strength might not be a terrible idea either. Both the passive skill here for +2 strength and the starting +3 strength as well means that he's just going to have a lot of damage. So, that could be an option. But I think we were talking about using something like the body crystal previously. Could be possibly a better route, or even locomotion that Mardek just finished. That would also give Slinik some extra speed, because it does give +3 agility. That's not bad. Let's maybe try that. That means... Oh! However, remember that the skill that Slinik was working on previously was an offensive reaction. So we were using offensive reaction RP, this one right here for the drain HP, not passive RP. So he's actually pretty occupied with the passive RP here. So we would probably need to sacrifice Insomnia for locomotion, which might be better, but we're looking to throw something in here that he can work on immediately. It would actually probably make more sense for us to go with something like +1 strength if he hasn't mastered that yet. He is not. Okay, so let's do that. Because you can squeeze that in there. And then... Mardek, did we swap around the clarity here? We did not. There we have it. Okay. So let's head back. Wherever back is. There we go. Okay. And let's flip that darn green switch so we can finally go through all those other doors. Because we see... Yeah, there's one of them. Green door that we couldn't go through. We're on the other side of it now. So we do have access to this area, of course. Which means this chest. Just some coins. And oh, I'm instinctively canceling those, which is probably not a good instinct to have. But there you have it. The green switch does mean that now we can go through here, which will be a little bit of a shortcut for us, and does mean that we will also be able to go through those other doors that we saw locked previously. Seems like basically everything. That will be something great for us to look forward to there, and I think this is probably a good place for us to wrap up here, and next time around we'll see what exactly we can find in the rest of the Sandflow Caves behind what was previously locked behind those doors.